Hello and welcome to Forgotten Temples Cambodia with myself, Mr. B. Now, behind us here, as we know, is Ta Som. And this one has a very special place because it was dedicated to the king's father, the King Jay-a-Var-Man VII, who's responsible for a lot of these temples. Well, it was his father that this one was laid out for. So therefore, amongst all the temples, that mighty king had a very strong fondness for this particular site. And he chose well, because this temple is quite simply glorious. So why not join me for another 10 minutes of adventure as we have a look around? And as we go through this entranceway, it's rather interesting to think we are walking in the footsteps of the great King Jay-a-Var-Man VII, because there would have been a day when they would have declared it's open, it's for you to inspect, and he would have walked this exact same roof, obviously covered with courtiers and so on. And I think he would have been pleased, because what we see is something that's worthy of the great king's father. And just like the temple Prayer Khan, what we're seeing here is doorway after doorway. But in this one room here, with the offshoot corridors, we have at our feet a plinth. So we can see potentially this was for a linga, for the water would have been poured and then run off here, as we know. But unfortunately, as always, we're left with the mighty view, but none of the statue. And as we press on, I don't know what we will find, because it's been many a long year. It's been over a decade since I've been here. And this is rather interesting, because look, there's kind of temples within temples. And there's something worth remembering within these temple designs, is they're very modular. One could, let's have a look up here, see this, like this lump here, this front edge here. One can then impose another one on the corner, let's say, and then a further one between those two again. You can take bits of this off here and put it over there. You want one of these here, certainly, we can put it over there. And this is how these temples were largely built. It's a bit like having a giant Lego kit. But this is why you see the same features over and over again. Now, what is impressive here is the amount of space. This is a nice big courtyard, by the standards of courtyards one has here. And look, you see, there's another building here with its lovely curved roof. It's shrine after shrine, really. But let's have a look. Oh, it's all dark, that's for sure. And yes, there it is, as always. Another plinth, another statue, another deity would have dwelled here, another god. So we do have an awful lot of these, but we are remembering, you know, that it's dedicated to the king's father. So it's going to be a deeply religious place, this. Now moving away and going back from whence we came. But these doorways are flanked not by these pretty ladies who we have seen along so far. What we now have is they're replaced by these mighty warriors, both left and right. And we continue through. We're going to take a left here, so we're back on track. And also I can show you this inner chamber. And look, yet again, more statues. There's an awful lot of reverence here, isn't there, to the late king's father? Because it's not over. We have this very large space here, but yet another doorway there. And here, as I say, is yet more of this epic building and yet another room. And there would have been, I'm sure, another plinth here. And look at this lovely moss-covered relic, isn't it, of times gone by. But we're not over, because it's calling us ever on. This is an unbelievably deep temple. I mean, you've got to recall how far we've walked. And as we do so, we see another doorway in the distance here. This is like a procession of altars. And we close in on what would be the back entranceway. And it's rather fitting that above us we have the benign face of Buddha staring down, and it's an exceptional one. It's in excellent condition, as are the ones right and left. Allow me to zoom in and show you a bit closer, because these always stagger people. And the final few yards as we hit the external wall. And here, potentially, a couple of senior priests, or maybe guards, who knows? Well, nobody knows, in fact, because there's so few written records. And this would be the back of it. We have a depression here, and here this one still has water in. That's what it should have. And the causeway out. But where we bump into 100% jungle, this is where people would have lived. This rock road here, this paved road here, would have ended not with this little bubbling stream, but with a city that was occupied by 1 million people. It was one of the most, if not the most advanced city in the world at its time. But now look at it. This shows you how fragile civilizations are. They can literally, completely and utterly disappear. So there you go. Certainly a very important temple amongst the collection in this area, because, as we know, it was dedicated to the great king's father. And have a look at it. You can see why the tourists would crave to come here. Just stand there and you've got a great photo opportunity. But I'm raising my hand in confession, because it just doesn't do it for me. And I don't know why. I still ask myself this question. It's going out through that jungle, through those rice fields and those dusty roads, and when I find a lonesome little temple all curled up on his own, unvisited, unwanted and forgotten, then I feel my day is whole. These ones, the tourists may well love them, but for me, they don't have that satisfaction. This has been Mr. B, as always, wishing you absolutely nothing but the very best. You take good care.